A very good evening to you. Welcome to the FKFPL Review Show. My name is Robinson Okenye. Tonight in studio, I am with Cedric Musumba and Rogers Eshtemi. Joining us via Zoom is Steve Ayo, and tonight we want to talk about the Football Kenya Federation Premier League resumption. Remember, the report that was out was that the league was meant to resume on the 12th of June, rather May, but earlier on this evening we received communication that the games that were scheduled to be played on the 12th will not be played, but players are expected to go for COVID-19 tests tomorrow. So officially the league is expected to kick off on the 14th of May. So that is what our focus will be on tonight. But before we get into that, the Football Kenya Federation issued a coaching clinic today in Nairobi's Legi Ndogo, bringing together more than 40 coaches. Let's listen in before my panel give their thoughts on the football clinics that are being conducted by Football Kenya Federation.
Part of our larger vision to create capacity for our local coaches is that yet again today we've arranged for an FKF D license course for existing coaches and former players, basically to try and improve on the number of coaches that we have trained and ensure that players, especially at the youth level, are managed by people who have some know-how on how age group training should be done. And so today we are happy that we've had 43 participants attending this course, former international players, which is good for us, and upcoming coaches, including 5 women, which is also key for women football development in the country. The issue is to have a pool of coaches, which then can not only coach our local clubs, but also can coach the national team level. For a very long time, football has not been handled in the right way, and so we have not trained the number of coaches that we would have wanted. We are happy now that with these coaches, since 2016, we've trained more than 4,000 coaches. The objective or the vision is to at least have 10,000, maybe by within the next 8 years, have 100 or so at CAF A, maybe 200 at CAF B, and maybe 500 at CAF C, so that coaching is not an issue, so that clubs can bring in coaches locally who then can perform, and coaches who also can handle kids at a very young age in the right way. We have upcoming courses for CAF C, and I believe one refresher course for coaches who had done CAF C but were not given the certificates. Hopefully we've applied to CAF, we'll have a CAF B and then a CAF A. So this is one of many courses that we'll have this year.
Barry Otieno from Football Kenya Federation, of course, speaking about the coaching courses that were conducted in Nairobi, Nairobi's Legi Ndogo grounds. That is a CAF D coaching course, bringing together more than 40 interested coaches in that. Gentlemen, I wanted to begin our show with that, and I want to bring you, Eshtemi, into this. What do you make of these coaching courses?
It is definitely a step in the right direction, but now the challenge is I would like to see maybe fresh faces handling these teams, be it at the club level or at the national team level. You don't just have to train these coaches and then they go back and sit back with their qualification without maybe getting appreciated for what they have trained on. So it's now a challenge back to the federation and maybe the FKFPL clubs. They need to rope in these coaches who are undergoing the training from level D, C, B, and A, because having all these coaches getting the training is a very expensive venture that need to be made good use of. And I believe what the CEO has said, we need to make good use of them. If not, then we'll be wasting the resources.
Cedric Musumba, your thoughts on the CAF D, of course, the certificate level D coaching course that took place in Nairobi?
This is one of the structural that we have been talking about that needed to have been in place even some years back before this. And I think it's also another way of also trying to tell a player that once you are ventured into football career, there's another life after you are active, as in active playing career. To an essence that even after you have retired or you have picked an injury, there's still life that you can recollect yourself and continue actually with your ambition and maybe try to redefine your future. And I think by the essence that they have now started introducing coaching, it also tells you that now the essence of our academy and trying to put in some of the required structures that will later on try to start giving us the competitiveness that we have been looking into the soccer will come by time. I think this is something that we need to commend. This is something that we need actually to support within our capacity to ensure that it materializes to the essence that it will us live to the dreams of these players that are really have an ambition and they are looking forward at least to have a life after active soccer.
Now, I want us to listen to what Joaquin Satudo, the former Posta Rangers man, had to say about the coaching clinic. Remember, he was one of the 40 participants that took part in the exercise.
I think it is better someone to start, though I have a lot of experience, but it is very important to have the course because it will add a lot to us. I think it is better for most of our former players to come and take these courses because it is not only coaching. There is physio, there's many things in football. It's not only coaching, so they can come and do it.
Steve Ayo, let me bring you into this. What do you make of what Joaquin Satudo has said, that it's not only about coaching, you can also be a physio?
I was just wondering what Trudeau meant by saying he has a lot of experience. Is it as a coach or as a player?
I think he meant as far as a player.
Yeah, I'm sure he meant as a player. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the more the merrier, really. Like Sedo has actually said that we need a lot of these experienced coaches, basically just to learn about coaching, physical activity, like how much you can stretch a player, especially if you are running those academies. So it's a good entry point, really. And the more of that, most of these former players, the more of such courses they take, the better for the team, rather for the country and beyond. We want to be exporting some of our capabilities, like the way Francis Baraza right now is doing really well in Tanzania. Remember James Young also managed in Tanzania before, so we need this just not for our local football, but basically also just to, supply the region and even the continent. You never know how far you can go. So, yeah, I'm totally in for such trainings.
Now, there's another gentleman who's not new to Kenyan football. That is James Stumai, who was taking part also for the first time in the training exercise, and this is what he said.
Naweza sema ni fast because these are D license, so ni kitu muhimu sana kwa mchezaji na more so kama sisi former players, kwa sababu after football you just need to be involved in football, so you need that knowledge kujua kitu nafanya, because just playing football haikupatii that maybe knowledge enough kuona kwamba unaweza coach, because kucheza na kucoach pia ni two different things. So I think it's a good initiative, na I'm so happy to see most of the former players wanakuwa more involved, because inamaanisha kwamba they will be back on the touch lines na wanaelewa game more, na unapata pia development from the players itakuwa much better. So for me it's a good initiative, na niliona kwamba pia unajua learning never stops, so you have to start somewhere, na pia as a requirements coaching around our country, I think ni kitu poa, kwa sababu unajua kila mahali kuna rules, unaona, na ni kitu poa sana kupata most of the players wanapata ile knowledge ya coaching na kwenda back to coaching, because ukimaliza kucheza ball utakuwa involved, maybe utakuwa team manager, utakuwa coach, unapata lazima uwe na knowledge, because team manager pia most of the times wanakuwa tu kwa bench, so unapata mkiwa well equipped na knowledge ya coaching, unapata as a team, as a group, inasaidia sana kuona kwamba mmesonga mbele, so ni kitu poa.
James Stumai speaking right there after the coaching clinic. Of course, it will take 10 days for the CAF certificate D coaching training to end at Ligi Ndogo grounds in Nairobi. Cedric Musumba, I want to bring you into this. I mean, we've seen, most, or rather our top clubs for a very long time going for foreign coaches. Is it time that now you see with us seeing more, former players embracing coaching? Is it time that, we saw some of our local players taking Kenyan clubs to levels that they've never been to before.
Definitely, and I think going by how the likes of Atudo and Stuma has alluded to the fact that they have taken it as if it's something that they were just waiting for, to be placed before them. Because you will hear from the likes of Situma saying that he has taken it as if it's a career growth. And this is something that I think even player have been really missing it badly, to the essence that they were playing without knowing where their future will land just after they have retired from soccer. But at least there's something that they are really calling into the limelight at the end of it, to the essence that they think after retirement, you can as well as venture into other activities like coaching. They have also mentioned that is apart from coaching, there are other avenues that comes with it, like you can come a physio, you can come maybe an instructor, you can come even a team manager. To me, it's a structural level that gives somebody a growth. And it gives even any player who ventures into this particular career as a sport, knowing that it will not only end at my age of 33 or 35. After 35, when I feel that maybe my legs are getting tired, I can as well as start sitting back and introducing into another level of what I call coaching, which is growth into life. And I think it will lead to more other sportmen and ladies to start really embracing this career, knowing that it's a career that will lead to you to somewhere. It's a career that once you venture in, you will have actually some level and ladder of growth, to the essence that once you finish one step, another step will be waiting for you. And not a step that you might call it a lower step. It's a step of growth. Step of growth whereby it leads you into now to managerial level. Remember, if you venture into coaching, it will not also end there. Another structure will come up. You can even grow from the coaching and maybe become let's say, one of the team managers. From that team manager, you can grow to another level of a sporting career. And I think those are the ladders that we need to introduce into our soccer system, so that our system can continue creating those phenomenons of circles and circles and circles. And these will bring the competitive nature that we want, and also the coveted system of other peoples being attracted into this sport.
Yes, Cedric has given us, of course, his thoughts on what Situma and Atudo and Barry have said. But gentlemen, last week we had some news, of course, coming from FIFA, and I want to get what you think about this. It's all about, match manipulation, and FIFA, directed Football Kenya Federation to expel Kericho from top flight football in the country to Division 1. Eshtemi, let me begin with you.
Even before maybe starting the manipulation issue, I think I'll back what Cedric has said.
Yes.
Because looking at the coaches, I'm happy to have seen a number of former players who have managed the local clubs, the likes of Ibrahim Shikanda at Nzoia Sugar, Bernard Malala was at Bandari in Nzoia Sugar. Then we have Mike Mururi, John Baraza. Those are some of the former players who have really tried their best on the touch in the local Premier League. Now, back to manipulation. This is an issue that actually has been there for a while. We have talked about it in a number of our shows here. But now, I think where they're feeling aggrieved of that decision by FIFA, because they feel maybe they have not been given a chance to defend themselves. It is a case that started a while back in 2019. The two matches the Kericho themselves said were between, it was against Wazito and then Sofapaka match. I remember clearly the Wazito match because I was at the venue, and in my match report I highlighted those interesting moments from the both goalkeepers. That was at Wazito. It was Kevin Omondi. He conceded a very easy goal from Collins Neto. And then on the other end, it was Vincent Misihu, who actually was at fault, I think, for 3 goals. That actually, I also raised some eyebrows on that match, because how the goals were conceded and how the players themselves were carrying themselves on the pitch. I think it was not the match that maybe any person would have said it was a well-played match. But match fixing, as we have said in earlier shows, is something that is thorny and it needs to be addressed. But now, FIFA have already ordered FKF to relegate Zoo to Division 1. But did Zoo get into this match fixing alone? That's a question that we need to answer ourselves, because I believe they didn't do this themselves. The other players, maybe in other clubs, who were also involved in this. So this is a very thorny issue that I know is going to open a lot of other investigation, And maybe in the near future or in the near months, we might see other players or other victims being sanctioned by FIFA.
Now, Steve Ayo, let me come to you. And because on multiple occasions you've mentioned on this show that Zoo is your favorite club in the Football Kenya Federation Premier League. What next for the players? I mean, you take a look at the fixtures, the draft fixtures that were released by Football Kenya Federation Premier League. Zoo is nowhere. So what next for the players that were hoping to come back, to and ply their trade?
Well, I think match fixing is really has been and remains really a ticking time bomb. Just waiting to explode, and it's playing in our faces as we speak. I feel like Zoo is just a low-hanging fruit that FIFA has found a bit easier to pick on, probably because I feel like there's not a good understanding now between the Zoo FC chairman or owner and FKF. Who is the Zoo owner being a lawyer and also a former FKF lawyer, but from what I understand, they're not eating at the same table, so just a bit of conspiracy there, but I would have been interested actually just to see at least an official statement from FKF, basically just giving some sort of direction, because what I feel is that they've just let the club to present themselves to FIFA. I feel like that's really a high level. There needed to be some level of guidance from FKF as far as how do you handle such kind of a situation, because just accepting that the sanctions have been put on Zoo, and it's Zoo, so you carry your own cross. I don't think that's the way a federation should be. Sometimes you need to at least stand for your clubs, also just talk to the owner, talk to the club officials, ask them how rife is this situation. Then you also have to ask yourself, how did it get to where it is now? And when there was suspicion in that Wazito game, of which, like Rogers has said, both sides really, the goalkeepers conceded some very suspicious goals. So why only Zoo? The Sofa Parker game also, was it just Zoo playing the thing by itself? So like I said, I think it's just a low-hanging fruit. And to answer your question, they have to go back to the drawing board, unfortunately. They have to look for other clubs, which again is going to be a bit difficult because if your club has been suspended or has been relegated for match fixing, it's not the club that fixes the match, it's you as players. Somebody must have talked to them and compromised them. So even you as a player, you're going out of the club with a reputation that has been sort of soiled. So it's really a catch-22 for the players. But let's just hope that Mr. Ken Ocheng, being a very good sports lawyer, probably the best we have around, is going to have a way in here. I don't agree with Rogers that FIFA has locked the door for appeal and all that. I'm sure that there's still that. There's also the opportunity to go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport that is cast. So there's just so many legal steps that we believe that we can take as a club. And hopefully at the end of the day, we are going to win.
Hopefully, yes.
Ayo got me wrong. I've not said that the doors are already closed for Zoo. I said they feel aggrieved because they have not been given that room to actually defend themselves. And it's a process that is still going on. I believe they have already, or they are preparing to file that appeal to FIFA. And of course, that's one way of them maybe presenting their case. And we hope maybe they'll get somehow a fair judgment.
Cedric, you want to add anything else onto that before we move to a totally different topic?
All is not lost for Zoo, and I think this is not the first club in across the world that has really received such kind of communication from the World Football Governing Body. I think it's now time actually Zoo to collect its evidence, put a spirited fight against those kind of allegations, try actually to come out of this allegation clean. And how will it really happen to do that? Is to convince us that this thing actually did not happen, and that it also need to get, you see, this is a case, and in a given case, a fair judgment actually, they need to be given an evidence from the accuser, which is now FIFA. They need actually to get these things and try to go through them and see if actually holds some water. If they feel it doesn't hold some water, then they start actually building the case from there. If at all they are quite sure that there was no such kind of allegation, And if at all, from what they have said, that they were whistleblowers, that the one actually who really told, as in knocked FIFA's door, trying to complain that there are some of its players who really were practicing this, and they even tried to punish some of those players. Those are the things they need to bring into fore, and they try to tell FIFA, listen, we are the one actually who whistled this particular thing. It's not how we are wondering as how why it can come back to start haunting us. And I think, given that it has got some lawyers who are really running that club, who understand the whole course of law, they need actually to collect it as evidence, put a spirited fight before this particular kind of allegation, try to move with all other avenues within their disposals. And at the end of it, actually, they will be vindicated. Why am I saying so? We have seen the likes of Man City, which is one of the world's most superior teams, trying to, as in appealing, and the appealing actually being overturned or as into their favor. I think.
But it wasn't on match manipulation.
It wasn't on match. What I'm just trying, it's a case that actually, it was a grave case that would have tainted them.
Yes.
It would have actually given them a dent.
Financial fair play.
Yeah, yes. But because they saw that in it, they tried to advance their case, and at the end of it, they came out victoriously. This is what Zoo should be doing right now. They need just to put all whatever they think that is within their disposal that will make them remain into the league. And more so, if they happen to win this particular case, they will also have slapped certain a blow in the face of FIFA. They will have told FIFA that actually you need to be doing your research well before you slam such kind of allegation which might end up tainting small clubs like Zoo.
And I think also the ball now is thrown back to us as the country, maybe the government. I think a few months or so, FKF was trying to come up with an integrity course, and all they were complaining about was that maybe we doesn't have the we don't have those laws maybe that can enable them maybe try to criminate, or rather those people who have been involved in match fixing and all those manipulation practices. Now it is that time maybe the government, or rather even the parliament, should come up with that law, just like what we had in doping, so that they can try to criminalize those people who are being involved in this match fixing. Because actually the integrity of the game is at stake. And once players, official, fans, and even maybe other people, the stakeholders, are involved in this vice, then our game will not proceed anywhere.
And also, what FIFA is actually not telling us, I think FIFA is not really healing the vice, but it's as in sweeping actually the mess under the carpet. To an essence that if FIFA is not really coming clear and telling us who really participated into this vice, they will as well as have eliminated Zoo and left out all other participants who really were closer to Zoo, or who woo Zoo into this particular vice, into the league, which might end up even messing the entire league. Remember?
Yes, Steve, I know you wanted to say something from what Cedric has just reacted.
Just to add on what he's saying, Zoo are not acting. If they were involved in match fixing whatsoever, they are not acting in isolation. There are some other officials, or even clubs officials from other clubs, or even clubs themselves who must have abetted the practice in one way or the other. So what I can say is that if we are going down, I'm not sure we'll go down by ourselves. But we also have to look at it, I think, from the bigger perspective, the whole match fixing thing. Why would a player feel the need, or even a club feel the need to fix a match? We have to look at the finances of a club. Basically, we know for a fact, and we've been saying this for ages, that our clubs are feeding on scraps. There's really no money to go around and support these players as far as paying even their rent. Basic things are concerned. So if somebody approaches you with something that you feel like you can change your life one way or the other, you have to think about it. So that's the biggest thing that we need to address. But I mean, I'm not saying that should justify somebody compromising on a match result. But yeah, we have to look at also the bigger picture. Where is the money in our league? So the fact that our league is really struggling to attract sponsors, our league is struggling basically just to keep itself together, we'll always find players who are very ready to be compromised. So that's the biggest thing actually that we have to look into, money in our league.
Integrity is paramount. Remember when the announcement came, when you take a look at the log of the Football Kenya Federation Premier League, Zoo were at the bottom with 8 points from 14 matches played. Remember, this was until sporting activities were suspended in the country. And now that the president announced, you know, that under regulations and guidelines from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with the Ministry of Sports, no sporting activities can come back. The draft that was released by FKFPL, Zoo is nowhere in the fixtures. So, gentlemen, I want us to get into the fixtures that were released by FKFPL, and we were salivating, of course, to see players back in action. And the first two fixtures that we could have seen on 12th of May could have pitted together. That is FC Leopards versus Mathare United and Wazito versus Gor Mahia. But now, of course, players have to go for COVID tests before probably the league kicks off on the 14th of May. And if it kicks off on the 14th of May, it means that if the draft remains the way it is, it means that Kariobangi Sharks versus Kakamega Homeboys will be the first fixture that we have upon resumption of football. Gentlemen, I want us to take a look at the teams that we have in the league so far, and now that probably football may be back, what to expect with them. So let's start with the fixture that we could have had on the 12th. Let's start with the FC Leopards. Cedric Musumba, I know you are itching to talk about FC Leopards and what we could have expected. And the first question is the question that fans are asking themselves: is the coach back in the country?
It's a question everyone actually, even those who are not fans, are still asking themselves, simply because there was a kind of allegation that the coach might have taken a walk that will never lead him back to where he was before. And given also the history of other coaches, how they have been leaving these particular clubs, actually informs a lot on how the coach really lives and doesn't come back. And that is not the case, because following up with the official, they have been so very much adamant that the coach will come back. He just went to actually meet the family simply because the league has taken a break. And now that the league is back, they are really in arrangement to make that the coach really comes back. And more, remember, this is one of the best coach that FC has really signed in the recent few months, if I may say so. Simply because since he came, actually the record speaks by itself, and is on a kind of a coach who has really brought back that particular discipline before the halt of Corona. But and also, following keenly to this particular team, I've also had those who are really left behind to step into the coach's food, as in feet. They are really not carrying that confidence that we expect from them. Just the other day, I've just seen Tom Juma actually saying that FC Leopard was not ready into its form position that it was before. As in the league was halted. What does that really mean? Is it that he's kind of developing some kind of cold feet? He's not really ready. But I think also by the announcement that has been made by FKF that the Wednesday matches will not actually take off,
yes,
it has been a sigh of relief to this kind of element that has started really cropping into the FC Leopard. And I think they have now enough time to prepare for their opening match, which means those more days that they have been added, they can go back, really prepare themselves, try to bring back that physical fitness that they were worried of, try to assemble this team to the same level that it was before the halt. Remember, it's a team that has started giving that fluidity that I was looking for. It's a team that has started really trickling those passes that any and every person will sit and watch. And
now,
that particular mark...
Now that you're saying that, do you feel that upon resumption, of course, you had, as you're saying, you had begun enjoying the way they were playing. Do you feel that will be the trend?
That is the worry everyone has, for essence that we don't know if this player actually has kept their form. We don't know if this player continued from where they left. Remember, the discipline that we have been talking about, the discipline of you keeping yourself to a physical stature that it were before. There are some players who like actually being bossed around for them to get themselves to match a little bit higher in terms of fitness. Therefore, players who are that disciplined that they can continue. But now, it will be actually be a crop of different physicality into this particular team, which, one, might actually amount to some getting injuries. Two, it might really give us not really the fluidity that we were actually acclimatized to. Or else, you can also be so surprised. Maybe these players, they were so disciplined, they continued with their training, and they might come back and surprise us. We can only talk when you have seen them playing their first match. But as things are right now, no one actually knows the kind of form this player will be presenting when they come back.
Steve Ayo, let me bring you into this. Do you feel like players are actually ready to get back on the pitch? And will the results be the same?
Are they ready? They don't have a choice, do they? Once the government decides that, rather once the government advises that the league can resume and FKF feels like we are good to go, then yeah, they don't really have a choice but to go back on the field and just see what shape they are in. But yeah, let's not expect fireworks the way we are seeing them before the league was brought to a halt. I think the first 2-3 games they are going to struggle basically just for chemistry, just for physicality, a bit of endurance. So there's some work really to do on their feet and on their knees really for the first 3 or 4 matches. Yeah, so it's just a case of which team adapts really too fast. So it's a clean plate, so to say, right now for each and every team. And the team that gets kicking on faster is the team that will get on the early points, basically just to establish that momentum going into the tougher fixtures coming up.
Rogers Shtemi, I want to take you back. I mean, on Saturday, we saw reports on newspapers that, there is an uncertainty in the league, resuming. And there is a question that, if the league resumes late, Football Kenya Federation is supposed to submit a name by the end of June, which teams will represent Kenya in the CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup. Now that we've seen probably the league may resume on the 14th, how are we going to squeeze this game so that probably the league can come to an end by then?
From what I've gathered, I think clubs should be prepared for congested fixtures, maybe 2-3 matches in a week. So that, and also they have advantage because FIFA has rescheduled the matches, the FIFA World Cup qualifier matches for Africa that are supposed to be held next month. So they have been rescheduled to another FIFA international break window for September, October, and November. So that at least is a sigh of relief for FKF. They can now use that window maybe to organize their league and add more fixtures. But now it will be now a rush against time for them because they have to ensure they submit that name, I think, by June. I think June.
End of June.
End of June 30th. Yes. I don't know how possible that will be, but they need to work around the clock and ensure maybe by that time maybe we have somebody will have won the title. But practically, I think that is somewhat impossible. Maybe FKF and other association across the continent will have to ask CAF maybe to give them more time, because you remember last season we were in the same situation whereby we didn't have a representative in the Confederation Cup, and this season maybe we are in the same scenario whereby we'll lose 2 positions, that is for the Champions League and as well as the CAF Confederation. Now I'm getting back to where Cedric was.
Yes,
Cedric
we are getting back to...
Cedric was speaking about he wants to judge our teams with only 4 matches at FC Leopards. He's calling me the best coaches FC has signed in the recent time. No, I'll have to disagree with him because
Cedric is calling him the best because of the results that he's gotten. No. Because in the 4 matches that
he lost one match. He lost one match and won, I think, 3 matches.
Yes.
Yeah. But now you can't judge a coach based on the 4 matches he has played. And then remember, he came at a time. Maybe the team was trying to...
3 wins out of 4. How do you
no, you can't. You can't judge a coach on only 4 matches. You can also look at the type of the teams he was playing against, the strength of the teams. Then I have to jump on...
against Sofapaka and KCB. He won against KCB. They won against Tusker. The same FC.
No, he didn't win against. He wasn't there when he wasn't there when FC was beating Tusker, Cedric. Then let me jump on Juma's defense. Of course, Juma has been with that team and he knows the fitness level of the players. So based on how he has been seeing these people train, they have been training maybe secretly due to the restriction from the government. So he knows exactly where these players can fit in and not fit in. So he should be worried, because if you are not physically fit and the league is starting with maybe 3 matches in a week, then you'll have to struggle.
Remember, FC Leopards are currently lie third on the log, 14 matches played and 29 points to themselves. I want to go to Steve Ayo. We could have seen on Wednesday, of course, Gor Mahia taking on Wazito, but now, if the draft is to go by, Gor Mahia will take on Nairobi City Stars. And having in mind that there are some players that have left Gor Mahia, and there are reports that probably others might leave. You know, what are the prospects for Kogalo in the remaining fixtures? Steve. Well, it seems...
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, with Gor Mahia, I think they just have to take it a game at a time. The troubles in that club, I think, if they used to be bad the last couple of seasons, I think this season has been, it's been terrible, really. But yeah, I think until the lockdown, they picked up some sort of form. Right now, they are seventh on the league.
Yes, they're seventh on the log.
Yeah, with 22 points, just a point up, 3 points behind Wazito, who they were supposed to meet if the league were to go the way it's been scheduled. And remember, Wazito, I think they've won their last 3 matches in the league against Wazito, actually keeping clean sheet in all the 3 matches. So going by history, they might have felt a bit confident, taking points there. But, I mean, Gor Mahia this season are just right in there. They're on the bad side of history. So I expect them to really struggle. I don't still see like they have the kind of caliber players that they used to have before. I feel like they are losing a lot of good players and not strengthening at all. Or the players that they are signing right now have potential, but they are not yet ready really to just deal with the rigors of the league and basically just get kicking on and get the results, scrap them where need be. So I feel like they'll struggle this season. Maybe if they can finish the top 5, I think that would be a big achievement for them, but I don't see them defending their title.
Mm-hmm. Cedric, we are still on Gor Mahia. The Brazilian left. I know probably Gor Mahia and Kenyan fans wanted to see more of him and what he could deliver, but now he will not be on the pitch, of course, for Gor Mahia. How big of a dent is that?
Ruby, we need first to understand that this player here, just like any other career, to trade and try to find something that actually will put a smile on their face.
Yes.
Move, as in coming all the way from Brazil to come to get some trade in Kenya is not that easy. And someone will question that it's not that quite comparable to have a Brazilian playing into the Kenyan league. And I think it would have added some value because we would have had a number, would have added to some of the few number of Brazilian that we have had into our league, which might be the history will have led to more Brazilian coming into our league. But it's unfortunately that he has left back to the country. And this is actually attributed to how these foreigners are being handled. And also, it also reminds me of what I actually alluded to this particular show previously, that was last week, how the structural, this club actually happened actually to, to anchor to in terms of their philosophy. You see, a club like Gor Mahia, which should have known its budget and how actually to manage these kind of foreigners that they are bringing into the team. Once you bring a foreigner here, according to my understanding, you need to put a budget like 4, 5, 6 months ahead of them so that you can actually kind of try to take care of these players. You cannot actually go shop. And I'm assuming for them to bring in a Brazilian, they would have gone to a top class kind of player. I'm assuming simply because he has not actually played very many matches to be gauged off. He has actually, he started off badly by losing when he debuted for goal. But his second match actually started netting some goals, which means with time, maybe he would have started giving us what we expected from him. But allowing him to go, which is one, will have a dent on Gor Mahia image in terms of foreigner, as in
number of foreigners in the wanting to play for Gor Mahia.
For Gor Mahia,
because also reports say that Tito Kelo left and Jules Ulimwengu hasn't returned.
Exactly, and you see, those are things that actually will continue damaging Gor Mahia reputation and image to an essence that if we try to advance the agenda of bringing other foreigners, they will be using it actually as an example. And this is something that they need actually to find a way of working around it, even if it's trying to as in seal those kind of dark images that they have created, so that moving forward, when things start settling down at Gor Mahia, they can as well as go ahead and start signing. This is a team that represents not only the face of Kenya, but the face of Africa, given to how they have actually been trading in Africa. I remember at some point, Gor Mahia was a talking point in the entire continental, to the essence that they even reached, as they represented Kenya up to the final level of, was it Mandela Cup? This is a team that actually should not be giving us what is giving, because at the moment, what we are hearing from Gor Mahia, and I alluded to it last week, it's not necessary. It's not all about that. Gor Mahia is not that deep to an extent that it cannot take it forward. But
yes,
how it has structured, it is its source of income has actually attributed to the demises this team is facing currently.
Yes, gentlemen, I want us to move away from Gor Mahia and FC Leopards. I want us to get into what could be potentially the biggest opening, or rather biggest game of the resumption weekend. Tusker taking on KCB. I want to get your thoughts, Eshtemi, on this, the top two teams clashing when football resumes.
Definitely that is going to be a thriller, if maybe what fans are looking forward to, because you remember these are two teams that were in the form of their lives before the lockdown disrupted the league. But based on the experience between the two coaches, that is Matano, the Lion, and Zico, Zedekiah Otieno, definitely it will be about tactical battle, and whoever will win their tactical battle will definitely carry the day. But also he'll have to give it to Matano, because for him, he doesn't know the player that is going to be involved in that particular match. He has a number of players whom he has been changing day in, day out. But for on the other side, Zico, he has key players whom he'll, of course, bank on, the likes of Michael Mutinda, yes, the likes of Henry, who have also been scoring goals. So we have the captain on Samuel. So I believe it will be one of the most interesting matches in the reopening of the league. But whoever will make good use of the chances, or rather will dominate the game, definitely will carry the day. But now the point will come out to a moment whereby maybe the goalkeepers will also have to play a key role. And that also bring in the defenders, because you meeting two teams that are having top quality, or rather top quality strikers in the name of Henry Major on the Tusker side, and then the other side we have the likes of Derek Otanga, who have been scoring goals, as well as Henry Onyango. I believe it will be very eye-catching for anybody who will watch that match.
Very eye-catching. I want to get your thoughts, Steve Ayo. I remember these two coaches, we've had their views, in the past shows right here on the FKFPL Review Show, with Matano saying that, the sudden, halt of games did not only affect Tusker. And also for Zico, he said the same thing. So he said that when we start, I'm hoping that my players, with the work at home formula that we gave them, I'm hoping they used that, so that when we can get back, we'll have that momentum. Do you feel that these two will kick off at the same wavelength, they were?
It's debatable, but I think highly unlikely that they'll just find themselves at the same level that they were at before the game was brought to a halt. But I do agree that I think these two clubs, they look like they were in really, really good shape. But I don't feel like they'll feel as much confidence as they were before whatever happened. I think especially Tusker will feel like the club would have pretty much been hard hit, or hit hardest by the halt. But like I said initially, I think everyone is just starting from a clean slate. If you've been training somehow by yourself or in small groups, well and good for you. But remember, it's not about individuals; it's about the whole team. The whole is better than the sum of its parts. So. It's just chemistry. Who's going to strike that chemistry quite fast? But as far as that game is concerned, if things were the way they were, and right now they are not, then it would have been the biggest match we have. But right now, I think that's just on paper until we see how the condition the players are in.
It's until we see what conditions the players are in when football resumes in the country. Cedric, of course, want to take you to another fixture that we have on the draft. That is Kariobangi Sharks taking on Kakamega Homeboys, having in mind what Eric Apaito said when we had some clips of him saying that he wants to be the top scorer. Right now, he's a few goals shy of what he had when he was the top scorer. And on Kakamega Homeboys on the other side saying that they were almost kicking off, rather getting their momentum when the league was stopped. Briefly, because we are running out of time, what do you make of this clash?
I think as Steve has said, these are just a flat level kind of playing. There's no any other team that will be coming back thinking that their previous form will take them an edge against each other, simply because they don't know, actually we don't know what this player has been doing as during this halt of the soccer. We don't know actually if they were that quite disciplined enough to keep the momentum that they used to be before the game was halt. And I think the first team to pick will actually end up running away with the points. And this, I may say that it will be so hard actually at the beginning of the resurgence of the season to tell which team is much better than the other, simply because all teams will be coming from the cold. They will be actually trying to use this particular match as their pre-season before even they can start gauging and seeing where they are to start collecting points. Those who are lucky enough, remember when the league started, we saw this kind of ball game playing against the likes of Tusker. Remember when the league started, Tusker started by losing against FC Leopard.
Yes.
But they later on went ahead and started collecting points. This might happen to each and any other team that will be coming. And more so, opening matches are very, very much tricky, simply because these players are coming from different environments. And remember, they have not been actually together for a long period of time.
Yes.
Even collecting, leave alone even physical fitness, even just passing and trying to communicate, that chemistry, if not very careful, can really cost a team.
If not careful, can really cost a team. I wanted to talk about a team that is at the bottom of the log this after Zoo was removed from the draft fixtures, and it's Mathare. They will be taking on Vihiga United in the released draft fixtures. Eshtemi, briefly, do you feel like it was for them, this period was, looking at themselves and, trying to figure out what did not work out for us in the 14 games that we had already played?
It's going to be a battle of relegation between the two teams, bearing in mind that Zoo have been removed from the fixtures. But now again, Mathare have really been struggling. That is not the same Mathare most of us know. This is a team that has a lot of history for the Kenyan football. They have produced the best players for the country, the club. They've produced a number of players that are playing trade in different FKFPL clubs. So for them being at that level, at that position, it's really disappointing. And I believe they should have, or they have taken advantage of that stoppage, maybe to rethink, re-strategize, and replan on what they want to do and achieve this season. If maybe they haven't done that, then they'll be going back, they'll actually be relegated because things are not looking very rosy at them. And having looked at how they played the first leg before the league was halted, it was really disappointing. Those guys were not giving out what we expect from Mathare. They were losing those matches that maybe they shouldn't have lost. But now it's time for Ali Salim and these boys maybe to think forward and try to see what they want to achieve this club. Maybe a top 14 finish for them will be a big achievement because the type of players they have also, they have a few experienced players, but most of the players that are there are young players who are trying to learn the trade. So it's going to be another interesting match for Mathare, but also remember Vihiga are also not pushover because they're also trying to ensure they will survive the cut.
Yes.
And so both sides will be trying to get that vital points or rather the maximum points.
Steve Ayo, briefly, Bandari versus Bidco. What will be your expectations be?
Bandari were really the informed team before the league was brought to a halt. I think they picked like 12 points out of a possible 15, 3 wins and 2 draws. So that should be 11 points. So they are another team who I think they were really kicking on. They had found their rhythm, and then whatever happened. And this is also going to be the first meeting between them and Bidco United. So it's really an open game, but we would have fancied that Bandari actually to go ahead and win, given that they are playing at home and Bidco don't travel so well. So if I were to put my money on any of them, I would have put my money on that.
Of course, thanks a lot, gentlemen, on your input on what to expect in the coming fixtures. Remember, we had 2 fixtures that were scheduled for the 12th of May, but they've been postponed. But it seems that Football Kenya Federation Premier League may resume on the 14th of May with Kariobangi Sharks taking on Kakamega Homeboys. Then that weekend, we'll have the biggest clash, probably being Tusker taking on KCB. FC Leopards will be in action against Nzoia Sugar, while Gor Mahia tackles City Stars. Bandari takes on Bidco United, and Mathare United will be in action against Vihiga as Sofapaka host Wazito. Those are the fixtures that we expect to kick off for Football Kenya Federation Premier League resumption. Thanks a lot, Steve Ayo, Cedric Musumba, and Roger Sishtemi. I'm certain that we are salivating to have football back on the pitch. My name is Robinson Okenye. Have a good night. We'll be seeing you again next Monday from 10:30 to 11:30 p.m.